All right, everyone, buckle up. We're diving deep into a piece of Australian cricket history, the very first Big Gash League season, BBL01. You guys sent in a bunch of stuff. Wikipedia articles, personal notes, you name it. Let's see what we can uncover, shall we?
You know, what's really cool about BBL01 is that it completely changed the T20 scene in Australia. It wasn't just a new season, it was like a whole new game.
Totally. Remember, before BBL01, it was the state-based KOC 2020 Big Bash. But this new league, city-based franchises, 8 big cities, each with their own team, battling it out.
Oh, and get this, Sydney and Melbourne, they each had 2-2-0 teams. Imagine the local bragging rights. Had to make things extra spicy right now.
Oh yeah, those city derbies must have been wild. Speaking of wild, this new format, was it a hit?
Oh, it was a smash. Let me give you some numbers. Over 500,000 people went to the games. An average of, get this, over 17,000 people per match. For a brand new league, that's huge.
That's insane. So everyone loved the new format, but who came out on top in this battle of the cities?
The Sydney Sixers. They beat the Perth Scorchers in a crazy final at, wait for it, the BACA ground.
Hold up, WACA ground. The Scorchers' home turf. They lost the final at home? Ouch.
Yeah, tough break for the Scorchers. But gotta give it to the Sixers. They were on fire that day. Chased down the target, won by 7 wickets, and it had an over to spare.
Wow, total domination in the final. Now, I know we all love some juicy stats, and we'll get to them, don't worry. But first, let's talk about the overall story of this season. Anything jump out at you?
The unpredictable nature, that's what got me. BBL01 was full of close calls, those last-minute wins, even some rain delays to shake things up. A real roller coaster.
Right, 1 minute you think a team's got it, the next, boom, everything changes. That's what I love about T20 cricket. So unpredictable, keeps you guessing. All right, ready to talk about the guys who made BBL01 so memorable? The players.
You bet. Let's start with the player of the tournament, David Hussey from the Melbourne Stars. Fun fact, he wasn't even the top scorer or the top wicket taker.
Really? So what made him stand out?
He was just brilliant all around. 243 runs, 8 wickets, good with the bat, good with the ball. It was his consistency, his impact in every aspect of the game that won him the title.
He was like the backbone of the Stars, a real champ. Now, who are the guys at the top of the leaderboards?
For the batsman, Travis Burt from the Hobart Hurricanes, he racked up a whopping 345 runs. Lead the whole tournament.
That's a lot of runs. How about the bowlers?
Rana Naveedul Hassan, also from the Hurricanes, he was a beast. Took a tournament-leading 15 wickets. Batsmen must have had nightmares about him.
Sounds like the Hurricanes had a pretty good season with those two leading the charge. But I heard there were some seriously explosive individual performances we can't ignore. What about the centuries?
Yes. We had 3 players hitting centuries. Luke Wright, blazing 117, David Warner, a powerful 102 not out, and Chris Gayle smashing a super fast 100.
Wait, a super fast 100? Gayle must have been unstoppable that day.
Totally unstoppable. Each century was unique, They showed off just how many different batting styles make T20 cricket so exciting.
3 players, 3 styles, all leaving their mark on BBL01. Okay, what about those players who came so close to that magical century?
Sean Marsh missed it by just 1 run, ended with a 99 not out. And Robert Quainey fell just short at 97. Goes to show every single run matters in T20 cricket. A few runs can make all the difference.
Oh, I can imagine how they felt. So close. Heartbreaking for them, but as a fan, that kind of tension. Yeah. Amazing. Speaking of amazing, what about Xavier Doherty and that crazy good bowling spell?
Doherty, oh yeah, he was on another level. Took 4 wickets and gave away only 17 runs. In T20 cricket, where runs are usually flowing, that's insane.
Like you just shut down the other team single-handedly. Talk about changing the game. So now that we've covered some of those individual highlights, what about the bigger themes? What was the main story that BBL01 was telling?
Honestly, it was the close games, the unexpected outcomes that really defined the season. BBL01 proved just how unpredictable T20 cricket can be. You never knew who was going to win.
You're so right. It was full of twists and turns, kept everyone on the edge of their seats. So it's more than just the individual stats, right? What else do we need to look at to understand BBL01?
I think we need to go beyond the numbers. Look at the drama, the strategy, the entertainment. Those things are hard to measure, but they really bring the tournament to life.
Totally agree. It's the emotional roller coaster, the strategic battles, and those unforgettable moments that make a season truly memorable. So what are some of those unforgettable moments from BBL01? The ones our listeners should definitely check out.
Well, there's Matthew Hayden. Remember his insane innings of 76 runs? almost pulled off an impossible win. And we can't forget those rain-affected matches. They really added to the
Oh,
suspense.
and the semifinals. They were nail-biters. I remember host describes a specific detail from the timeline, expressing their excitement and personal connection to the moment.
It's crazy how some moments just stick with you, even after all this time. Makes revisiting sports history so much fun.
Absolutely. Now, before we move on to part two, I want you, the listener, to think back to BBL01. What was your favorite moment? Was it an amazing catch, a game-winning six, maybe even one of those rain delays that had everyone holding their breath? What image, what feeling pops into your head when you think about that very first season?
Those moments, man, they stick with you long after the game is over.
They really do, and BBL01 had plenty of them. Okay, so we've talked about the exciting final, the star players, and some unforgettable moments. But let's not forget about the format itself. Remember, this was the first season with the city-based franchises, right?
Huge change. Moving from those state-based teams to city-based franchises, it was a defining moment for BBL01. Not just a cosmetic thing. It totally changed the T20 landscape in Australia.
We talked about those intense city derbies earlier, especially with Sydney and Melbourne each having two teams. What impact do you think those local rivalries had?
Oh, man. The atmosphere in those stadiums must have been electric. Sydney Sixers versus Sydney Thunder, Melbourne Stars against Melbourne Renegades. It was more than just a game. It was like a battle for bragging rights in the city.
I bet. The whole city must have been buzzing before those games. It's like they took that love for cricket and focused it on these super intense local rivalries.
Exactly. And the numbers show it, right? Remember we said the Melbourne Stars averaged over 27,000 fans per game? That's insane. Proof that those city-based rivalries really got people fired up.
Over 27,000. Wow. And think about the other cities, like Hobart and Perth. Now, they had their own teams to get behind, their own local heroes to cheer for.
It gave people a sense of ownership, like this is our team, our city. It wasn't about state pride anymore. It was about city pride. And I think that was a big reason why the BBL was so successful right off the bat. It just connected with fans on a much deeper level.
They took something that was already popular, cricket, and made it even more relatable, more personal, more exciting for fans all across the country.
Exactly. They tapped into those local passions, built a strong base of fans who were super loyal to their city teams.
So BBL01 wasn't just a good cricket season. It was a lesson in how to get fans really engaged. It showed us what the future of cricket in Australia could look like, filled with these high-energy matches, passionate fans, and tons of city pride.
And it all started with that one decision, shifting from state-based teams to city-based franchises. A simple change, but the impact. Huge. It paved the way for the BBL's growth, and we've seen how popular it's become over the last decade.
Crazy to think that one decision can change everything for a whole league. And this deep dive into BBL01, it shows us how much we can learn from those early days. But it also makes you wonder, what if they hadn't made that change?
The what-if game. Always fun to think about, especially when we're talking about these big moments in history.
Right. Knowing what we know now about how the BBL has grown, do you think that first season would have been as successful, as popular, if they'd stuck with those state-based teams?
That's a tough one. On the one hand, the state-based system had its own history, its own loyal fans. People were used to cheering for their state, and there's something to be said for that. Maybe it still would have drawn crowds.
But would it have had that same energy, that same kind of rivalry we saw with those city derbies? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, those rivalries, they brought a whole new level of excitement to the league, attracted new fans, created this buzz that went way beyond the cricket field. It was like a cultural phenomenon.
Totally. Remember how everyone was wearing BBL jerseys? Everyone was talking about the games, arguing about those crazy moments. The whole country was caught up in it.
It was a social thing, for sure, and that kind of impact, capturing the imagination of the whole country, that's just as important as winning games on the field. It means the BBL connected with people on a deeper level, became something bigger than just a sport.
So even though we can't go back in time, it seems like going with those city-based teams was a huge win for the BBL. It was risky, but it paid off big time. Set the stage for the league's lasting success.
Definitely. It's proof that sometimes you gotta shake things up, try something new, and you might just end up with amazing results.
Love that. All right, we've covered a lot in this deep dive so far. Analyzed that format change, relived the Sixers' victory, and talked about those amazing players. But there's one more layer we need to explore, one that often gets overlooked when we're focused on the bigger picture.
You're talking about the individual journeys, right? The personal stories of the players who made BBL01 what it was.
Exactly. We've talked about the stars, but every single player on those teams had a role to play. They all contributed to the story of the season.
So true. And I think it's important to take a moment to think about those journeys. What motivated them? What challenges did they face? How did their experiences shape the season and their own careers?
It's like there's this hidden layer to the BBL01 story just waiting to be uncovered. A layer that goes beyond the scores and stats and dives into the human side of it all.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so interesting to me, to look past the numbers and see the dedication, the sacrifices, the triumphs that make these athletes so inspiring.
It's those personal stories that really connect with us, those moments of vulnerability and strength that help us relate to these players on a deeper level.
Mm.
So as we head into the final part of our deep dive, I want us to keep those individual stories in mind.
It's amazing, right? How those moments, those specific plays can just stay with you, even years later.
Yeah, they're like little reminders,
Oh,
of why we love the game. The passion, the drama, the you never know what's going to happen next feeling, all of it comes together to make something truly special.
okay. So before we wrap up our BBL01 deep dive, I want to go back to something we touched on earlier. We've talked about how well this whole city-based franchise thing worked. But would it have been the same? Would it have been as big if they had stuck with those state-based teams?
That's the question, isn't it? The state-based system, it had its own history, its loyal fans. People were used to rooting for their state. Maybe it still would have been popular, drawing decent crowds. But would it have had that same energy? That same rivalry we saw with the Sixers and the Thunder, the Stars and the Renegades? I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, those rivalries, they were intense, added a whole new level of excitement to the league, brought in new fans. It wasn't just about the cricket, it was about representing your city, your community.
Exactly. It was like a social movement. Everyone was wearing those BBL jerseys, talking about the games nonstop. The whole country was caught up in it.
It became a cultural phenomenon, no doubt about it. And that's just as important as winning games. It means the BBL connected with people on a much deeper level, became more than just a game.
So while we can't go back in time, it really seems like choosing that city-based format was a smart move. Risky? Yeah, but it definitely paid off. And it led to the BBL becoming as popular as it is today.
100%. Sometimes you just got to try new things, shake things up a bit, and you might end up with something truly amazing.
So true. Well, we've explored a lot today. We talked about how the format changed the game, we relived the Sixers' victory, and we dove into the impact of those standout players. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it has. And, it's not just about the numbers and the wins. It's about the passion, the excitement, all those stories that make up the heart of BBL01.
Exactly. So to everyone listening, I encourage you to keep digging into those stories. Learn more about the history of the BBL, uncover those hidden gems, and remember the individual journeys that made this season so incredible.
Because it's those individual stories, those moments of brilliance, and those moments of, just fighting through adversity that really grab you and make you love the game.
Perfectly said. All right, it's time to say goodbye to BBL01. But the journey doesn't end here. There are so many other amazing sports stories out there just waiting to be discovered. So keep exploring, keep that passion for the game alive. Until next time, this has been Host Speaker's signature sign-off.